So, time for one last one?
Yes.
Okay, and this goes to our online worlds. So, choosing one of the chapters about online worlds, this is a place, the online, I mean, everyone's familiar with what its possibilities are, both for alternative expressions, but also for state propaganda, and also the possibility that the state sees activism and then reacts against it. So we know that it's a contested sphere, but it is a very active sphere. And Astrid mentioned how inspired she is by Pedzisai Maetsa, who's a theatre scholar. And what this chapter does by Pedzisai, it's called Chimurenga Files, Memory, Mockumentary, Parody, and the Politics of Zimbabwe. And what he does, I mean, well, we all know that humor is a well-known form of resistance. It's sort of a subversive form of resistance. So what he does is he examines the work of a younger generation of comedians. This group is called Simuka Comedy. And what this group has been doing, and he examines in the chapter, is that it takes a series that ZANU-PF has been running for since I think the early 2000s called Chimurenga Files. And it's produced on ZBC, Zimbabwe's sort of state-run TV channel. And it does these interviews, these memories, these testimonies of very selected war veterans from the Liberation War. Only those from ZANU-PF's Zanla army, not the Zipra soldiers that were part of the other political party, ZAPU. So it's very much a narrow representation of liberation history, liberation heroes. And what Simuka Comedy does, it makes mockumentaries. It uses mimicry, replicas of that, but in a very alternative way, repetition and so on, in a very parodied way to mock. I mean, obviously it still takes seriously liberation heroes, but it mocks this kind of narrow ZANU-PF monopoly of the telling of the liberation history. And it produces what Maeta calls a counter-hegemonic discourse opposing official state policies. Mm-hmm. And so while ZBC is used, the state-run ZBC is used for the original documentaries, so-called documentaries, Simuka Comedy uses online sources, social media, to provide these parodied mockumentaries. So it's a really interesting way of showing how alternative histories and versions of the past can be very creatively done and in a very challenging way to the state monopoly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, that's wonderful. That's a very important example, Professor Amanda. We watch a lot. I spend some significant amount of time on social media. So we watch a lot of those videos from Simuka Comedy. I'm going to play some of them on this series so that
that's great.
We can help to clarify this point. Let me invite back Professor Astrid. I do understand that you had a target audience in mind when you were writing this book, and at the point that you had conceptually established the thrust and scope of the book, you obviously had a target audience. But I want you to talk about it so that we can know who gets to greatly benefit if they get their hands on the book.
Yeah, well, and starting with that, getting your hands on the book, it's not a very affordable book right now, but it will be out open access in a couple of years. So either get your library to buy it for you if you can, or hold your breath and you can get access to it in a few years. But yes, our target audience, of course, are students of Zimbabwean history, Zimbabwean culture, society, but we're also hoping that people who are interested in history more broadly and in memory more broadly will be interested in picking up this book. The book brings attention, firstly, of course, to the central role of the politics of the past, but also to the many forms that this takes, which in turn encourages more interdisciplinary awareness. So that's something that we hope that people will take away from this book, that they can see that sometimes we need to study things in a broader context and inviting more perspectives on the subject matter. If you really want to understand the politics of the past, you cannot afford to look only at literature, only at high politics. You need to see this in context. I also want to highlight the introductions theorization. I think we actually do some interesting work in that introduction to theorize the conditions of remembering, which I think can be a tool for future work. So even if you're not particularly interested in Zimbabwe, you might be interested in the work that we're doing there for providing you with a list of things to remember or to think about when you're studying memory contestations. So we think, or we set out that some of the axes that you might want to explore are time, space, scale, actors, performance, and the media involved. So with time, we think about both the time that is remembered and the moment of remembering. With space, we think of both the physical and the abstract spaces that remembering takes place in and the spaces that are remembered. So just to give one example, Maseko's exhibition, when it was boarded up, that space in itself said something about how that past was interpreted, that it was interpreted as dangerous by the state. Memorials would be another space that are set up or torn down. Scales, we have people working on international, national, local, regional, family, even individual scales, and working across these different scales. And we think that it's important to be aware of, when you're researching the politics of the past, what is the scale that and the scope of your investigation, and what is it that you maybe leave out if you forget how this played out internationally or how this played out locally. We've already talked about actors, that we are interested in how they're differently positioned and how their agency is constrained and enabled by the situation, whether it's a state actor or someone who has to use more subversive channels of communication. And then Amanda talked about the performance involved in the exhumation. So performance is also something that's key to understanding how memory acts can be acts of resistance or acts of repression. And finally, as you can see from the way that we've organized the book, we're interested in these forms of expression in different media and the affordances of different media. So how does the genre, whether you're writing fiction or non-fiction, how does that enable different types of remembrance? So we have one study of Ndebele online nationalism. How does the fact that this is playing out on social media allow certain framings of the past to emerge that wouldn't have emerged if you were on the streets, for instance, or in conversation? Yeah. So those are some of the things that we think that people can take away from the book, even if they're not necessarily interested in Zimbabwe. But we also really think that this book is going to be important for people who study Zimbabwe.
That's great. And one thing that I have to thank you for is for producing a work of interdisciplinary quality. That's something that I really thank you so much for. That is why you are here on this program, because we always like to bring books of interdisciplinary quality, because that is where the world is going. People develop interest in a book, and they develop it from all walks of life. So that's something that that's pretty important for us. And thank you very much for doing it for us. Viewers and listeners, thank you very much for joining us. This book is available. You can click the link that is right in the description panel. But I think it is important for me to highlight to you that in a period of about 2 years, that's the case, right? In a period of about 2 years, this book will be open access. So what that means is that the book will be free for you to download. It will be free for you to have access to. So
actually, I'll just say it's less than 2 years from the time of production. It's 18 months, and it's on the BRILL. It will be on the BRILL website, but also the European African Studies Association, which is the link, Aegis and BRILL. It will be on that site in less than 2 years, within maybe now in just about maybe 16 months.
That's very...
Be patient.
And that's also important. I have to highlight that this book is under the Africa-Europe Group for Interdisciplinary Studies. Some of the other books that are under this series are also already now under open access. So the books that are under this series, after a specific period of time, they will become open access. This is very important for our viewers and listeners. And those of you who want to get access to the profiles of our guests today, please do not forget to click the links that I'm going to share with you right in the description panel. But thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you very much for having us here.
I greatly appreciate, and we are going to do our very best to get this to as many students as possible.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
So